Hi there, it's Danny. Welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you haven't been here before, I do music, art, animation, or whatever interests me at the time so that I may share it with the world. I know I disappeared for a few months prior to this video, and I do apologize for that. Life stuff, you know? But I'm back, and hopefully better than ever. But enough about me, let's jump into the video. Now, this video is pretty special. It's some fan art for Kaveh's birthday. Now, if you don't know who Kaveh is, he's a character from Genshin Impact. He lives in the Sumeru region and works as an architect. He was raised by Farinok and his father, who remains unnamed. Now, Kaveh lived in a loving family. He had aspired to be an architect from a young age, as his mother was a famous architect. His parents loved him, he was happy, and he acquired his meaning of home from this time in his life. But then, the Darshan Championship was announced, and Kaveh was infatuated by the diadem, which was the trophy for winning the championship. Seeing how much Kaveh loved it, his father entered the competition to win it for Kaveh. But his father didn't win. This caused him to enter a period of depression. Weeks later, his father died out in the desert. Kaveh's mother fell into a great, mournful depression while Kaveh blamed himself for his father's death. He was ridden with guilt from a young age. A guilt he would unfortunately have to learn to live with. Years later, his mother got a job offer in Fontaine. This was the same year Kaveh applied to the academia. His mother moved to Fontaine and found love there, leaving young Kaveh all by himself in their once happy home. While studying in the Sharwar Darshan of the academia, Kaveh met Alhaitham. Alhaitham was his junior of 2 years, but was remarkably intelligent, though he was rather cold and blunt. Despite this, Kaveh and Alhaitham formed a strong friendship, and even decided to work on a research paper together with some other students. But the other students were unable to keep up with Kaveh and Alhaitham, though Kaveh tried to help them with their share by doing their work along with his own. Eventually, it was just the two of them. They wound up having a huge argument in which Alhaitham said that Kaveh's altruism was due to his inescapable sense of guilt. This hurt Kaveh right in the core. Not because it wasn't true. Quite the opposite, really. It was something Kaveh himself knew, but avoided looking at. So in his anger, Kaveh tore up his copy of their thesis and declared that he never should have been friends with Alhaitham in the first place. That's the last they saw of each other for a while. Life moved on. Kaveh graduated and worked under his senior for 2 years before going freelance as an architect in Sumeru. He redesigned the lighthouse at Port Ormos and did some other projects to make a name for himself. Things were finally looking good for Kaveh. He had a place to stay in his parents' old house, which he lived in alone, but he was doing well in his architecture career. He decided to take a break for a few months to clear his head, but when he came back, he found a new client, Dory. Now, Dory had commissioned Kaveh and wanted 2 things in the building she required. She wanted it to be big, and she wanted it to be extravagant. Now, this kind of project doesn't come along every day, so of course Kaveh accepted the offer. And then, the Palace of Alcazar's was designed. Now, it was moved from its original location where Dory wanted it, which was a secluded location, because Kaveh thought moving it to a different location would make it better with the scenery and the aesthetic value. And he wasn't wrong. But the location it was moved to was a withering zone. And after the project was 75% complete, the withering came and destroyed all of it. Kaveh was devastated. His commissioner Dory just told him to move on and just forget about the project, that she was done paying him. But Kaveh sat in the ruins, contemplating what he should do. He finally decided the next day that he would sell his house and give all of the money towards the project, just to see it done. But there was still not enough. The remaining sum was paid by Dory, so instead of getting paid for this project, Kaveh went into debt. Major debt. With nowhere to go, Kaveh went into a tavern to drown his sorrows, but the kind tavern owner let him stay there for 2 whole weeks, because Kaveh had nowhere else to stay. To repay the tavern owner's kindness, he redesigned the tavern's upper floor free of charge. Now, I said he stayed in the tavern for 2 weeks, but after those 2 weeks were over, he was found in the tavern by Alhaitham. Now Alhaitham comes up to Kaveh and says, "So, this is where your ideals have gotten you?" And Kaveh just breaks down and tells Alhaitham about all of his troubles and what's been going on in his life. In this moment, Alhaitham decides to take Kaveh back to his home so that he may live there. So, that's what happens. Alhaitham takes Kaveh back to his home. Kaveh winds up becoming Alhaitham's roommate and paying rent, doing chores, so that he may continue to live in Alhaitham's house. Alhaitham doesn't really need the extra money, being scribe of the academia, which just makes Kaveh even more agitated. But of course, he pays it anyway, and he voluntarily does chores around the house. And so we get to where we are today. Now, about the art. Right now, this is a clip of me doing the hair for Kaveh in the art. Now, as you can see, I color-coded everything so that I wouldn't get anything mixed up. And this was such a good idea. I don't know what I would have done if I didn't color-code it. But I think it looks pretty good, like, considering I just decided to put this together. But I did everything individually, see the feather, the hair, I did everything individually, and it gets rendered later. But I did it all individually because it would have been too much to handle if I'd done it all at once. It needs to be done in detail by detail. Now, it took about an hour to finish this art. Like, I started recording when I started the art process, and reviewing the footage, it took about an hour to finish this art, but I sped it up by 4 so that you do not have to watch for an hour. You only have to watch for 18 minutes. A bit closer to 20. Now, we're gonna take a break from the lore and talk a bit about the channel. As you could see, I created a PNG tuber of myself, and this was something I've been wanting to do for a while, but I never got the time to, so I finally had the time and I made my PNG tuber. And I'm happy with how it turned out, and a video about my PNG tuber is actually in the works, and that's going to hopefully come out sometime this week or next week. And I'm also hoping to release a video on July 22nd. It's going to be one of my biggest videos that I've done. It's going to be a bunch of animation, a bunch of art, and it's a music video for a cover of Writing on the Wall. I'm very excited about that. Now, if you've never heard Writing on the Wall, you should go listen to it. It's a Kaveh fan song that was released in 2023 by Will Steetson. It's so good. It is one of my top favorite songs. Now, with me making birthday art for Kaveh, I must have discovered Genshin somewhere. And no, it wasn't actually in any of the ads for Genshin Impact, which is a shocker to most people. I actually first discovered Genshin Impact and Kaveh's character back in October of 2024. I'd gotten together with a friend who really loved Kaveh and Alhaitham's characters, and she first showed me Writing on the Wall, and that is where I discovered that I liked Genshin and I liked Kaveh's character. So I researched the lore a bit more, I started playing Genshin, and I absolutely love it. I love the game, I love the lore, I love the characters. It was honestly one of my favorite things that I have gotten introduced to. So, shout out to her if she's watching. Thank you so much for introducing me to Genshin and Kaveh. That is greatly appreciated. in Kave's lore, it talks a bit about Alhaitham, but if anyone does not actually know who Alhaitham is, he is the current scribe of the Academia, formerly acting Grand Sage. You can learn a bit more about that in his story quest and the Sumeru Archon quest. But he's also Kave's roommate. He actually owns the house that him and Kaveh are staying in. It was offered to both of them from the Academia, but Kaveh declined the offer, while Alhaitham took it. So the house now belongs to Alhaitham. Alhaitham can come off as cool or blunt and wears noise-canceling headphones to block out everyone that he does not want to interact with. He blocks out social interaction that he deems unnecessary, and he's basically an introvert. In my words, he's an introvert hardcore. Now I'm also going to add, if I do get any of the lore wrong, or if anyone has anything to add, please let me know down below in the comments. And I also have another video I'm in the works on about purely headcanons for Kaveh and Alhaitham and Genshin. I am purely doing a headcanon video for Kaveh and Alhaitham. I might even do Chimerian China as well. It depends on how much time I get. But I am working on a pure headcanon video from headcanons that I have found on the internet. And it's for all of you to decide whether you believe this headcanon is right or not. You can put it in the live chat. That will be available with that video. I'm really interested in hearing your opinions, so I am very excited for this video to come out, because it's going to spark a lot of debate. And I will actually be in that debate as well. So I'm very excited. Now, considering this is a video for Kaveh's birthday, I believe I should add a part about my favorite thing about Kaveh. Now, this is going to be hard to narrow down. Kaveh is my favorite Genshin character by far, and I don't know if I have just one favorite part about Kaveh. Well, if I included everything, this video would probably be over 2 hours long, but since I do not have that kind of time, I'll say one of my favorite parts about Kaveh is his dramatic flair. I absolutely love that about his character. A lot of people seem to mischaracterize Kaveh, and that makes me very sad, but I love his dramatic flair in his personality. It just adds so much depth to him. He's a very human character, and that is one of my favorite things about him. And his dramatics are just so relatable, and it's funny, and I love it. I also love his character design because it is so detail-oriented. Like, the details on his outfit are insane, and that was so hard to draw. It took the longest to draw out all of the details on his outfit because there's a lot of details on his outfit. That was so hard. Okay, so about at this time, I decided I hated how the eyes looked in the art. I was like, no, they look stupid no matter how I draw them. They just look wrong. See, look at that. That looks wrong. It looks stupid. So I decided to scrap the eye design that I had there and go with the eye design I usually put. I also scrapped the mouth design because I hated how it looked. But I added my own eye design because this is how I normally design eyes. I added the sharp edges to Kaveh's eyes, and I drew them how I would normally draw eyes on a character. Like, literally any character, this is how I would draw their eyes. Do they look a bit jerky? Yes. Do they look better than what I had? Yes, in my opinion, they look so much better than what I had. They don't look terrifying anymore. They look so much better than what I had, and I am happy I changed them, because if I had kept what I had, it would have looked stupid. You probably could have already guessed this, but the inspiration for this art actually did come from, well, Kaveh. It came from me wanting to make birthday art for the character, and it came from this one scene in game that it just really looked like something Kaveh would do. Like, I saw the reference and I was like, oh my gosh, Kaveh would so do that, I need to make art for this, and I loved it. Now, I will just say, in the process, now, like, what we're looking at, getting the eyes right was so hard. Getting Kaveh's eyes right was so hard, because Kaveh is an expressive character. Like, he's a super expressive character, and I wanted to get his expressive features correct, because that's just who he is, and I wanted to make him as correct as possible. So I made sure that his eyes were bright and expressive and that he looked happy. Now, I will say that the hardest part about this art was the arm. I'm not great at drawing hands. To be honest, I kind of suck at drawing hands, but I'm getting better, I think. I think this looks great, considering I'm bad at drawing hands. I think this looks great. I mean, it doesn't look awful. So you get to see the entire process, and yeah, it's not entirely pretty, but it's not awful either. I mean, it could have been so much worse. I could have been moving the camera in all of these different directions, but I tried to keep it stable so that I didn't make people dizzy. And I think I did a pretty good job until I had to zoom in to do tiny details on like the eyes and shading and stuff like that. So here is the finished birthday artwork for Kaveh. Happy birthday, Kaveh! I had so much fun working on this piece. It is truly fun to work on something I'm actually interested in versus, oh, I just need this for content. I am so happy to be back on the platform. I had so much fun working on this piece, and I cannot wait to do the next video. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Happy birthday, Kaveh, and I will see you all in the next one.